All right, so back to this. I had to cut off because my wife called. Always answer the phone when the wife calls. Anyways, so you got telemetry. Users must be prompted to authenticate. Systems wake from a sleep or on battery. That's kind of a no-brainer. Must be configured and negotiate signing for LDAP client signing. Here I brought this up earlier. Minimum password age. So if you want to set up, so now the thing is too, a lot of these are very common or not common, the same between one OS and the other. So when you look at the STIG for like, open one. Oh yeah, you can actually open more tabs in this. Open STIG. So that was 2019. So then we'll go with 2022. So now then you can see 2019 and 2022. And there's going to be a lot of the exact same things in between these two, but there may be subtle differences. So what I would suggest doing is try to figure out which ones are all the same, make that group policy where they're all exactly the same, and then clone it or copy it, and then go ahead and make the changes for the ones that aren't the same. But that might not be as easy. You might have to like use a PowerShell script or something to figure that out. Of course, don't want to use SMB version 1. That's not secure and supported anymore. I don't think it's even, you actually have to turn it on 2022. So now then, the other thing is, you also don't know where you're currently at. So, okay, great. I've got all these great outlines. I've got STIGs. We're going to go hardcore DoD. And, we're going to see, where we're at and everything. Well, how do you know where you're currently at? So now then, it's where, other utilities come into play. So let's go back to my little screen here. So that's STIG Viewer. Now you understand what that does. And then there's a program called SCAP, a STIG compliance checker. Oh, see, this still says STIG Viewer. I didn't fill this one out yet. But anyways, the SCAP STIG compliance checker, I'll show you that right now. Because once you've set it, or if you need to set things, you need to know where you're at. You need to be able to scan a system. So they give you a tool called SCAP Compliance Checker, and this is version 5.14 when this is being used. You can do remote scans, Cisco equipment, and it looks like some Unix, but you have to be able to load it. So you can do multiple remote systems. But I'm just going to do. I'm going to do a local scan. Do it real quick. So these are all the things that are loaded into this. These are all different STIGs, and like I said, it's not just by operating system. It's by technology. So they got one for Google Chrome. They got one for Internet Explorer, which I don't know why. Windows, different version of Windows, SQL, .NET Framework, Defender. Anyways, so these all have to be set. You don't. It's not just make one group policy for Windows Server. We're done. Well, no. Well, if Windows Server has a Defender antivirus, then it needs to have that. Okay, then let's see. Oh, it's running SQL. All right, well then it needs to have this. So now I've got three group policies that have to be created and applied. Oh, here's the firewall one down here. So you've got to really build on top of stuff, just like IS, I mean, they got STIG specifically for IS. So you'd have a group policy for Windows Server 2022, and then you'd also have another group policy for your IIS. And the reason for that is you don't want to bundle them together because that one IIS group policy can be applied on everything. It's not OS dependent. So don't create them in the same one. Create two separate ones. It'll save you a lot of time. So what I'll do here, and actually I wish I could just see my reports. Can I just see my results? Well, all right. Let me run one. All right, so on this system, I did not have my CIS controls or anything else set, and then I did. I'll show you the reports from both of those. So we're going to go with Windows 10. So this is a Windows 10 workstation monster, and it's on a domain. my DC01. That's my domain controller, one of them. And it does have some controls enabled, but not exactly the STIG. So I'm going to go, okay, I need to see what ones do I need to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And then I also wanted to run the firewall. So we'll run those two. So show scan output, start scan, continue. Now, because I selected the Windows one, this is going to take a little bit. So what I want to dive into why this is happening is go back over here. So I brought up the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit. This is really cool. So Microsoft goes above and beyond for a change and allows you to go to a website, download a toolkit, and it has all sorts of group policies and information, a policy analyzer, all this stuff ready to go, and import group policies, and then you can apply them, and they have them like by OS and everything else. The only thing is, they're not a one-to-one match for CIS. They're not a one-to-one match for STIGs. So you're like, okay, well, what is it? Well, it's Microsoft's version of, hardening. They're like, hey, this is what we think you guys should do. At least do this. And the good thing about it is when you do that, it does cover a lot of the CIS and or STIG benchmarks. So if we go here, just so that you get to see what it looks like, So you'd go here, totally free. You don't even have to log in. Hit download. Now then, it's going to say, oh, well, what do you want to download? I highly suggest grabbing all of them because as you see, they have different baselines for each operating system and then even types of technology, Edge. They even have a 2025 one, which is impressive. So then go there and then hit download, and you're going to get a big zip file. Now, the cool thing is when you open that zip file, you're going to get stuff like this. So those mimic, the downloaded items that I just showed you. Now, the good thing about this is you can go in here. Let's say I want to look at Server 2022 baseline. And then they've got this is so cool. They got documentation. They've got reports. So these are like the different types of group policies that you're going to create from this folder. And you can actually go in and look at the settings. Sure. Oh, there we go. So now then, if you were to apply this group policy, these are all the settings pre-configured that it's going to set for you. I do highly suggest at least browsing or perusing these because group policies and compliance and hardening does break stuff. So that's great. Then the best part is these don't look like it, but these are actually group policies. Now these group policies you can import into Group Policy Management Council. So let's open that. Now then, if you look at my group policy objects, these were all imported from what I just showed you. So what you can do is say new, and let's just do a test. Import settings, next. I want to back it up. Oh, it's going to back it up anyways. All right, oh, so it already knows the path of where I've got them. So saying, oh, what's your backup folder where you've got your group policies at? So now then, these are all the group policies, which look just like those HTML files I showed you. Say, oh, well, I want to import the settings for the member server. So hit next, copy them identically to the source, next, finish. Hit OK. Now, this was just a brand new blank group policy. But after you import the ones, and yet again, this is the Microsoft Security Toolkit, not CIS, not NIST. I mean, not NIST, STIGs. So there, boom, all those settings. I don't have to go through and create them all. And then, read these, make sure you know what they're going to do. And then you apply them. So, like, they even have a CIS domain controller virtual, which is my domain stuff. This is a virtual environment. They even have, member servers. So I put that there. They even got one, for workstations. So they've got a lot of group policies, even for user accounts. So all of that can be imported from that utility, the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit. So this is still running. All right, get back here. So we'll go back over and recap a little bit. So we went into STIG Viewer, STIGs, DoD, top of the line, the hardest hardening that you're gonna find out there is the STIGs. So if you want to be solid as a rock, follow the STIGs. If you want to go another way, there's CIS compliance and controls. CIS is the Center for Internet Security. You can use those guidelines as well. Another thing about the CIS Internet for Security, so for STIGs, you have STIG Viewer. All right, well, how do I know what to set for my CIS controls? Theirs is all web-based. I really would prefer to have like an Excel file or a tool like for the STIGs. But if you go to their website, dang it. So create a free account. I'm already logged in. Go to CIS Control Resources. Go to Benchmarks. Then up here, so now then, you'll see that they got benchmarks, just like STIG does. So, but here, so I'm going to go with the newest version, 5.0, bang. Then it's all web-based. So, okay, well, what do I need to set? I need a password policy. So right here, they give you all the settings. And then you can actually drill down and it tells you where to set this in group policy. So there's CIS, and theirs is web-based with all the information that you need. Then there's NIST. I keep saying NIST. STIGs. It's because there's 4 characters. STIGs, and the STIGs are the DoD guidelines. You have STIG Viewer, something that you can download to your local system and review in an application. But yet again, no matter if you're going with the CIS tools or the STIG Viewer, you're going to be creating and implementing these by yourself. Now, I've heard and read up that there are some tools that if your company wants to pay a subscription to CIS, and you can get better tools which will help you with this process, they are available. Me, I'm just running a lab at home. I'm not going to spend $2,500 a year on a subscription just so I can have some cool tools to help me implement my guidelines. But I did want you to make do want to make you aware that if you're working for a large corporation, at least check in to see if there's any type of paid for version that will give you some more tools. I think there's a program called SCAP Lite, which is very, very light. It's totally useless, in my opinion, unless you get the pro version. And then you get the pro version. Well, that's great, but I'm not, yet again, I'm not spending $1,500 on some utility just to set up my lab. So there are some more advanced tools to help you, but yet again, if you're just like me and just setting up a lab, this is what you're going to have available. You're going to have to come here, go through this. You might find a GitHub or something online where someone's already got all this done for you, because there are a lot of settings. Why is there nothing under registry? It's kind of weird. Oh, there we go. Print spoolers. So you got to do this. So lots and lots and lots of settings. So anyway, so this is where you kind of get your guidelines for your benchmarks for CIS. Let's go take a look and see how our STIG scanner is done. All right. So now then, this is the SCAP compliance checker for STIGs. Now view results. Now then, right up here in the top, you're going to see this. I've ran this like 4 different times. It gives me a date and time stamp. Now the cool part about this is when I first ran this, right here, I didn't have anything applied. Oh, something right there. Oh, what is this for? Oh, this is for Windows. I don't know what Windows. Oh, okay. So, oh yeah, I ran it against everything. That's not the one I want. All right, so I got the Windows 10. So I ran that on March 1st. So this is the Windows 10 STIG compliance. So I'm just going to look at all settings. And it gives you a bit of a scorecard. So it says I'm like 68%. I think that's a lot. But anyways. And also you can just go and see your non-compliant stuff if you want. So these are all the things I would have to go fix if I wanted to be 100% compliant. A lot of work. I think this is what I was talking about here. So the Windows Advanced Firewall, that's a different policy. So now then, bam, that's 100%. But, oh, where's my older scans at? Oh, here we go. So this is what I wanted to show you. So when I first ran this, I didn't have the settings for my firewall set up. Firewall was wide open. So this says, oh, hey, you don't have any of your firewall. So my passing, I got a 0. I got an F. Okay, great. Well, then I implemented the CIS security control, well, the security controls from Microsoft, and that definitely does set up my firewall. So, like I said, the security controls that you download from Microsoft with the group policy and everything else, they overlap. They're not one-to-one. But when it comes down to Windows Firewall Advanced Security, you just saw that at a 0. Now, I just ran it today, and if I go to Windows Advanced Firewall Security, I'm 100% pass. So that's 100% coverage in relation to the STIGs. So I downloaded, let me back up so you're on the same page with me. I downloaded the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit, this, and then I implemented group policies that I downloaded from this. And they just by chance, after I installed them, had 100% match with what STIGs recommends as well. in which this would also, if you had a CIS scan tool, they would probably be pretty close coverage as well. So even though Microsoft says, yeah, here's a bunch of cool hardening items, for you to use, they're not 100%. We didn't go to CIS, we didn't go to the STIGs and use those. We created our own here, and you implement those, and you're going to get anywhere from probably 60% coverage to 100% coverage of either CIS or STIGs, because there's a lot of overlapping on what opinions they have on what you should do to harden your systems. So for me, in cybersecurity, which is what this video is really all about, these are things that I do for a living. These are the guidelines to, everybody's like, oh, I want to be a hacker. Well, no, I'm the guy that keeps hackers out. I'm the guy that makes sure everything's hardened, everything is updated, everything's patched, compliance and guidelines are followed. And a lot of the thing is too, is when I say guidelines, it's not a setting on Windows, it's a policy. So what's my policy? My policy is everybody has to change their password every 90 days. And, we have certain policies where, there's certain settings on systems that we allow or don't allow. So just making sure that everything's hardened, you're following policies, or at least you have policies, is going to be a huge step in keeping the bad guys out. To me, that's what cybersecurity is all about. Cybersecurity is about IDS, IPS, reviewing information, hardening, and knowing what you're doing and knowing what you're looking at and doing your best to keep people out of your environment. So I went over the Center for Internet Security, the CIS benchmarks, and those are the ones that are web-based. They have a great guidelines, and they even have like a layer 1 and layer 2, depending on how critical the system is. You got the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit. That gives you, some predefined group policies that you can implement and install and then assign to your stuff, and really get a good kickstart on getting your environment going. I already showed you the SCAP STIG compliance checker. That was the one where I ran the tool and showed you the differences between my 2 firewall settings. Then STIG viewer, that's where you actually can download an application, view the STIGs, and even see side by side the different versions. I got it still open, so it's the STIG viewer if you don't remember. The only thing I haven't gone over is something called OpenSCAP. OpenSCAP is a free tool, community driven, open source, I believe it's open source, tool that I use on Linux. So the great thing about this is it has tons of profiles that you can download and install. So I should open this. It's NIST certified. If you don't know what NIST is, NIST is what says, hey, this is what you should do. It doesn't tell you how to do it. So that's the difference between CIS and STIGs and NIST. NIST is like a framework guideline. Hey, this is what you should be doing. This is the things that you need to look out for. Whereas the CIS benchmarks, and there's a PCI compliance, HIPAA, STIGs. There's so many different things out there of, hey, this is what you need to do to harden your environment, and this is how. So now then, with OpenSCAP, you can download, you can install it on Linux and run a report. And the cool thing is I actually have those reports right here. So I have Ansible running on a Linux box, Red Hat. And so what I did is I used OpenSCAP and I ran a scan. I said, hey, how secure is my Linux box according to CIS benchmarks? Cool, an actual tool that actually does specifically CIS. Oh, wait, that's the after. Oh, yeah, that's the after report. So before. All right, so before I did anything. So this is the report it gave me. So I have 189 failed. So I'm like, all right. So I was able to use OpenSCAP on Linux, run it on Linux. You can run it, I believe, on remote systems, but it's not that easy. You can run it on your Linux system, generate a report, but then the cool thing is you can also generate a remediation script and then execute that. I'm like, okay, well, yet again, this is a lab, so I'm going to go ahead and run this and see how well I did. So remember, my results here, I have 189 failed. So now then, 189 failed. Then, after I used OpenSCAP, created a remediation script, executed that remediation script on my Red Hat server. Now, after the 189 went down to 9, that's how good of a job it did. That's phenomenal. So, being able to go from a fresh install of Red Hat, I installed Ansible software on top of it. I think it has a NFS client running on it as well. And that's about it. But then there's, hey, if you're going to be CIS compliant, then you need to have all of these settings changed on your system. So I failed 189 of those settings, but now after I use OpenSCAP to remediate those 189 items, I was able to get rid out of 180 of them and only left with 9. That is phenomenal first step stuff. You know, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So this was really cool. Oh, and it didn't, so, and it even tells you, you know, what you failed. So the thing is too, it didn't break anything. It, you know, the system, I still have my cockpit. I still have Ansible running. You know, the NFS share still is connected. I can still log in and work like I normally did. Now, it did change a whole bunch of things to fix all that. So you know, I did the right thing. Make sure I have a backup. Okay, do a snapshot if it's virtual, hopefully. And okay, then you know, go ahead and make your changes and make sure everything works. So this was a really, really cool tool, and I'm like, why don't we have something like this for Microsoft Windows? And you know, something where say, hey, here you go. Well, in a Windows environment as well as Linux too, I guess, you can't just say, hey, give me a blanket way to fix everything, and you implement it, and then it breaks all your applications, or it does, or it breaks your file server, or whatever. People can't do what they need to do, so you're breaking your production environment. So when implementing these things, you need to be very careful how you're implementing them. Hopefully, you have a lab environment at work, or at least you have low critical systems, all right, non-critical systems is a better way to put it, that you can apply this to and everything else. So that's the better way to do it, is step by step, slow. And then also, if you build your group policies, you know what's in there. You know what the setting is. You're familiar with it. So I think they're kind of forcing us to create our own group policies in CIS and STIGs so that we can actually learn and build, and because you're going to eventually have to customize. You're not going to probably get 100% on everything. You're going to be close, maybe 98%, but whenever you set this one setting for this IIS control, it breaks your application. Okay, well, that's not going to fly. So now I need to file an official exception, do a write up, and say, hey, you know, yada yada yada, file that away for when audit hits. So when they go, why isn't this set? This is our official exception. This isn't ever going to be set because it breaks everything, and there's no way around it. And hopefully that's acceptable. So the OpenSCAP tool, phenomenal. And it's community driven, which just blew my mind. So I was able to run a scan. Hey, you got a big mess. Create me a script to fix it. Make sure I got a backup. Do a snapshot. Okay, execute my script. Scan again, and boom, 180 of 189 issues dissolved, and it didn't break the system. So I was very happy with that. So we got OpenSCAP and reports and remediation. You got STIG benchmarks. You got CIS benchmarks. You got the Center for Internet Security. Sorry, the Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit. Yet again, I can't stress that one enough. That one gives you the group policies. That is a huge first starting point for anyone want to start in to get into doing some hardening and say, hey, I don't have anything yet. What could we do for a really good first stage of implementation of hardening our environment? It's a great first step. All right. Well, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I went over pretty much everything I wanted to. Please leave any questions or comments. Yet again, this isn't everything. There's other stuff out there. I know there's HIPAA, there's PCI compliance, there's probably other tools I'm not aware of and everything that you can do and utilize. But I just wanted to kind of get anyone that's coming in the door, looking at getting into cybersecurity and saying, hey, what's out there? What do I need to do? How do I harden my environment? Or maybe you just took over an environment. Here's some guidelines on how to get started. And please leave some comments with any questions or anything. I'm happy to go over other stuff. I love adding new things to my lab. So let me know. Thanks.